Do you get frustrated that you want things to be different, but they rarely change? Do you find yourself going through the motions over and over, tackling the same problems, getting annoyed with the same things over and over and over again? Well, there is another way. You need to be less Phil. Welcome aboard, folks, to the Annoyingly Optimistic Show, the go-to destination for the savviest entrepreneurs and business owners who crave a heady concoction of knowledge, inspiration, and a sprinkling of humour. I'm your host, Paul Inskip, here to accompany you on this exhilarating journey through the world of business. Together, we'll venture into the fascinating realm of ideas, unravel the mysteries of success, and equip you with hands-on strategies to worry less, make more, and be brilliant. I'd love to hear from you, so please reach out, comment, or message me to share how you've been helped, inspired, or simply got a fresh outlook. Let's embark on this annoyingly optimistic adventure together. And remember, worry less, make more, and be brilliant. Now let's talk about being less Phil. And I don't mean Phil from accounting, and sorry to any Phils out there. You're all right by me. No, the Phil in question here is a certain celebrity groundhog, the infamous Punxsutawney Phil, straight from the silver screen's Groundhog Day. The mission to be less Phil, is all about ringing the bells of change, throwing a parade for novelty, and here's the kicker, doing the exact opposite of our friend the groundhog. You ever feel like you've channeled Punxsutawney Phil's a bit too much, life echoing the rhythm of Groundhog Day, stuck on a repeat, day in, day out, same old, same old. The calendar may flip, but everything else stays unnervingly the same. So what's the antidote? Well, flipping the script, shattering the repetition, and injecting a delicious twist into the dramedy of our life. Because, dear comrades, if we're yearning for a scenic switch, we ought to start by rewriting the storyline. Today, I challenge you to meander off the well-trodden path and risk a detour. The ground may be unsteady, the surroundings alien, but isn't that the adventure of exploration? Let's swap our groundhog burrows' cozy confines with the exhilaration of unknown territories. After all, variety is not just the spice of life, but also the success's secret ingredient. So whether you're shaking up your morning routine or tackling an old problem with a fresh perspective, let's all vow to be less Phil. Because even the tiniest shift can stir a mighty tempest. Let's step away from the monotonous shadow and bask in the brilliant light of novelty. Isn't it about time we infused our black and white routines with a splash of technicolor? Now keep in mind, I'm not advocating change for change's sake. We're making way for growth, innovation, and the joy of the unexpected. We're opening the door to a new age of daily excitement. So stick around and let's find out how to be less Phil. Now metaphors. I love them, you may have noticed that. They're like chilled martinis for the mind. Well, here's one of my favourites that doesn't get the spotlight as much as it should. The only difference between a rut and a grave is the depth of the hole and how long you plan to make it your home. Now, we as humans, we're creatures of comfort. We adore our familiar little corners, our routines, our habits. There's books, webinars, TED Talks galore, all dedicated to our ritualistic tendencies, instructing us how to bend them, shape them, make them our pet genies. We often stereotype our daily grind as the 9 to 5, despite the actual clockwork varying vastly. It's safe, it's cozy, and it's a trap. Now, a clever fellow by the name of Einstein once remarked, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And let's be real, he was pretty good at thinking things through. Now, I confess, this nugget of wisdom is close to my heart. Over the past few years, I've managed to dial down my inner Bill Murray from Groundhog Day. And in 2023, I took the game to a whole new level. For over 15 years, I was a broken record. Wake, work, snooze, rinse and repeat. Safe and snug, but stagnatingly so. But then 2020 happened. Does it ring any bells? That's something to do with the number 19. Our world did a spectacular somersault, and although it was a global nightmare of epic proportions, I hear a phoenix rising from the ashes tale every week of someone using this tumultuous time to redefine their life. Tiny tweaks made colossal differences, And in 2023, I morphed into a routine ninja. I decided to shake things up, not because I thought these changes held all the answers, but because I yearned for the changes to remodel me. Gone was the routine that began at 7 a.m., with work starting at around 8:45 a.m. Not really sure what happened in that black hole in between. But now I catapult out of bed at 5 a.m., brimming with zeal. Within 15 minutes, I'm on my routine, which includes meditating, exercising, reading, and more. It's Groundhog Day the upgrade. By 6:15 a.m., I'm charged up, fired up version of myself, ready to slay the day. By 9 a.m., I've clocked in more victories than I used to in a full day, perhaps more. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not proposing a universal dawn chorus revolution, although there's a lot of information to say that is great. What I'm advocating is that a genuine, tangible change, a heartfelt commitment let's scratch the will morph what you can conquer and accomplish. Now, if you're anything like the average Joe or Jane, you're no stranger to that dreaded hour of the day. No, not the rude awakening by the persistent alarm clock. I mean that particular moment when your spirit is sagging, your efficiency has taken a nosedive, and you feel like a deflated balloon. For many, including myself, it was the nefarious 2:30 p.m. I tried everything in my arsenal to combat this drowsy demon. A caffeine charge, a sugar rush, even a siesta, or a bit of leg stretching. But what I was doing was akin to putting a plaster on a bullet wound. Treating the symptoms, not the cause. Now, I'm not turning a blind eye to the complex world of biology and metabolism. There's a whole treasure trove of potential remedies. But what finally did the trick for me was a hearty makeover of my routine and mindset. My stash of caffeinated lifesavers and emergency chocolate rations, they're gone. Where COVID handed me a brand new compass, it was Tim Ferriss, the maestro of the 4-hour work week, and Hal Elrod, the sorcerer behind the Miracle Morning, who bequeathed me the map and the magic wand. They granted me the tools, the knowledge, and crucially, a blueprint to plot my transformations. Of course, absorbing these gems and then letting them gather dust is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Luckily, I'm a bit of an action junkie, at least taking action. My library is a battlefield of books in various stages of consumption, discarded mid-read because an idea grabbed me, demanding immediate execution. Sure, I circle back eventually, but I'd much rather have a nibble at 1,000 books, wrestle out an awesome idea from each and put it into practice, than polish off 50 books only to let their insights evaporate under a misguided belief that completion trumps application. When it comes to knowledge, application outmuscles completion in the knowledge fitness test every single time. Now, I want this episode to be like those books. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't finish the podcast. You absolutely should. But what I want to do is challenge you, to stir you into action, not next week, not sometime, but tomorrow, if not today. If I can set the wheels of change in motion for every single listener, my persona shifts from annoyingly optimistic to over-the-moon ecstatic. And voila, one less Phil roaming the planet. And let's be clear, I hold no grudges against the Phils of the world, no childhood trauma or any such shenanigans. And if there's a Phil tuning in, I want you to be less Groundhog Day Phil, but not less you. So if there's a facet of your personal life or business you wish had more zing, more muscle, something different, or a dream you yearn to actualize, then this one's for you. If your life and business are pristine, then by all means hit the skip button. Just know that we'll talk about you once you're gone. So change and chasing a goal can be a tough nut to crack. You need the idea, the know-how, a crystal clear vision, the burning desire. And we often have all of those in abundance. The slippery eel that often eludes us, though, is time. How often have you ditched something because time seemed scarce, or the task appeared too time-consuming, or you shied away due to insignificant knowledge, which ironically you could have filled if only you had, drumroll please, more time. Time is our most precious commodity. It's the one thing in the business world we can't just order more of. We can acquire more customers, rake in more cash, bag more awards, amass more knowledge and experience. And yes, we can even listen to more annoyingly optimistic podcasts. But we can't whip up more time. We often don Phil's hat and resort to clocking more hours, deluding ourselves that more screen time or fruitlessly hunting down that elusive quick fix or shortcut will solve our problems. It's funny, really, how, as folks so strapped for time, we're champions at time wasters. What's key is we keep spinning our wheels, doing slight variations of the same old, day in, day out. Then whine about how this week is the same as last, or that this quarter is just the same as last year. Yet we never roll up our sleeve to make any real changes. But that is about to change. If you're serious about shaking things up in your business, then buckle up, because the ride starts now. You game? Okay, here's one approach. Embrace it as it is. Modify it to suit your needs, or simply use it as a springboard. But act on it. Don't let it simmer in your brain and tell yourself, that sounds good, I'll tackle that next week. Let's be real. You won't. It has to be now. It has to be tomorrow. Our approach revolves around a morning routine. As Tim Ferriss advocates in the 4-Hour Workweek, win the morning, win the day. So tomorrow, set your alarm an hour early. Rise and shine immediately. No hitting the snooze button. This is about change. And hitting the snooze button is procrastinating change. Now, procrastination is probably a category you already have a gold medal in. So divide the next 40 minutes when you're awake into these tasks. First, choose a peaceful nook away from your desk. Do not even glance at your phone. No doom scrolling, no peeping at notifications, nothing. Your phone stays out of sight until your old day starts. Use this time for deep, focused thought about what you want to achieve or change. Visualize the after of your transformation. Really see and feel what you want to achieve. Then the next 10 minutes, identify what you want to change. What are your prerequisites? Scribble it down, jot down ideas, notes, the necessary steps to accomplish it. You've only got a few minutes. We're not solving the problem here. We're decluttering your mind by transferring it onto paper. And each day you'll add to it, develop it, put things down that you've done and what you want to achieve. Next, grab a book that'll propel this change. Could be a physical book or an audio book, whatever suits you, but it needs to be a catalyst, something you can learn from, something that will help you on those next steps. And lastly, here comes the hard pill to swallow, 10 minutes of exercise. It doesn't need to be strenuous. Anything that gets your heart rate up will do. And voila, a 40-minute routine, all accomplished while you'd typically be snoozing. And you still have a 20-minute head start on your usual day. But now you've gained clarity, fresh ideas, new knowledge, and a sense of accomplishment. However, this is just the first leg of the journey. You've got to keep the momentum going the next day and the day after. You can give yourself the weekend off, initially. Now, there's no earth-shattering revelations, but if you can pull off this tomorrow, and honestly, what is stopping you? What is stopping you doing this tomorrow? And if you can then replicate it day in and day out, you won't just achieve those changes that you want, the big changes, but you'll morph into someone who can instigate and stick to change. You'll feel more energized, more knowledgeable, with more clarity, and you'll also have more time. You'll gain a fresh perspective, novel ideas, and leverage your time better. You'll start making other adjustments in your day. But most importantly, you've wriggled out of Phil's grip, busted out of the Groundhog Day cycle. You've initiated change. You're sticking with it. And a person who can maintain change becomes the person who can enact any change. The goal is to break free from Phil's monotonous grip, break the repetitive cycle, and overhaul the way you operate. Because guess what? When you alter your actions, you change your results. In just 3 weeks of doing this, you will have dedicated 5 hours to honing your focus, 2.5 hours on physical wellness, almost finished a book that will help you towards solving your quandary, and gained 5 extra hours, and evolved into a person capable of adapting and driving change. Now, doesn't that sound enticing? To be that person, to overcome those hurdles, and to be less Phil? Now, there's no wizardry here, just sheer will. Because you can either get busy changing or get busy repeating the same old, never making headway. So let's shake things up tomorrow. So what will you do now? Will you take action? Will you be less Phil today? Or will you settle back into the safety of familiarity and into your own Groundhog Day? I sincerely hope you will take action, grasp the change, and take the very first step, which is always the hardest, towards making changes and changing the things in your life and business. These tiny changes may feel miles away from what you want to achieve, but to change the big things, you have to be the person who can change. You have to break free from what you do and make the changes in your daily routine. So let this be your catalyst, your call to arms, your action. Shake off those groundhog ways today and be less Phil. Well, we're at the end of another fun-filled episode of the Annoyingly Optimistic Show. Here's hoping you've found your pot of gold at the end of this rainbow, brimming with insight, inspiration, and ideas to tackle your business dilemmas with a twinkle in your eye and a spring in your step. If you've enjoyed this episode, pass it on. Share the love, leave a review, or reach out and see how we can make your business everything you dreamed it would be. And for a weekly dose of optimism, hop on over to worrylessmakemore.co.uk and sign up for my Worry Less newsletter. Until our next adventure, remember to worry less, make more, and be brilliant.